Hey there, friends. Dana, otherwise known as Dana Spirit Butterfly here, offering you an energy forecast for this moon cycle. We're a bit late this month, but I always know that whenever these things happen, they happen exactly on time, and sometimes it's an act of faith to just trust that the detours and delays that have happened are exactly by divine design. And when we use the term divine design, it in itself is an interesting commentary, because we are all divine beings and we're all active on something that's called a collective grid, which binds us together, and it's how synchronicity is able to happen. There is a certain amount of intelligence that we all represent that means that when certain things are in alignment, we start to see what we call spirit signs. And those spirit signs are like, hey, you're on the right track. Hey, this is available to you. And sometimes it's, hey, you're not quite there yet, but you're definitely on the right track. And so the first thing I guess I want to say is that with time delays, firstly, there's a lot of them going on at the moment. And secondly, I need you to understand that time delays in themselves sometimes are gifts, and our human construct that tells us that things have to happen by a particular time frame is in itself just a construct, and indeed it's only half of our intelligence. You'll hear me through my videos talk a little bit about masculine and feminine energies, and we like to separate these from men and women because we know that masculine energy is found in all things and feminine energy is found in all things. These things as energetics are different to sex. And I feel like we're not diving in too much to that right now. We want to get down to the business of the energy forecast. But we want you to firstly just appreciate that when things don't go according to time frames, sometimes there's intelligence behind that that actually allows you to do more of what it is that you're intending. So more on that on another forecast. We want to start just with a little bit of intention setting. Actually, we haven't done this before with this particular platform of the YouTube channel, but we're going to invite you, if you feel comfortable, to just settle in to the space where you're seated, standing, and we're going to invite you just to close your eyes, and we're just going to give you a little bit of a sound healing, just to drop you into the space so that we can all collectively work together for this particular channel. So, closing your eyes, I invite you to just breathe naturally and let us do some work for you. Of course, if you don't feel like you're wanting that, that's also okay too. Just chill out for a minute. For those of you who want to receive it, stay heart-centered, keep breathing, and just keep focusing on your heart as we do a little bit of healing for you. That's it for our little taste. I'm going to work with cards today. Don't always work with cards. As you guys know, I'm a spirit channel, so me, I believe we're all spirit channels. Some of us are just more advanced in our skills, right? Today, Spirit asked me to use these cards. These cards are a Celtic tarot deck, and so put the information as to the tarot deck's information on the YouTube channel. But we're working through this today specifically, I think, to demonstrate, Spirit steps in a little bit further to me, to demonstrate that there's so much that we can do with ourselves and with our souls that help us to navigate through this reality. When we use the term this reality, there's a collective reality, as we've mentioned before. You are a part of that. I am a part of that. We together are a part of that. And so the fact that you're listening to this video already talks about us in a collective sense, because as I show up here, there's a certain amount of chemistry between us that allows me to do the work that I do. But also you have your own perspective and your own reality. And this is sometimes what we use when we talk about the term the universe. And so much more we can dive in there, but we start with our first card. This is about the next month. So also Spirit has just reminded me that we want to recognize also that astrology in itself is, of course, not like the be all and end all. We talk about astrology for a number of reasons, partially because our planet has gravity, and that gravity impacts other planets. It pulls or pushes, depending on your perspective, other astral bodies. And so the Earth in itself impacts other astral bodies, and those other astral bodies also impact the Earth. And you being an earthbound being at this present moment in time, you are impacted by those planetary forces. And, you know, it's funny, they're also reminding me about how I just posted something on my Facebook page about love relationships, and about how when we're in tandem in love relationships, and this is relating to where we've come from, I'm being told, with regards to love relationships, we have this uncanny belief that there's only one person out there that's going to be the be all and end all for me, and that they're going to complete me. And this is a really big fallacy. This is a big lie. If I'm going to outwardly say it, it's a big lie. There's not just one person for you. There are actually many on the planet that can help and support you. And navigating our way through that is actually what the planet is going through at the moment. In the last month, we had a new moon in Pisces and a full moon in Virgo, and we talk about the solar frequency a lot in terms of astrology. This would be your birth sign. For example, in star signs, my sun is in Cancer, which just means that I have certain attributes that are innate to me, and that are really easy for me to step into those aspects. The other aspects I have access to, but I don't necessarily as easily flow into those. I have to work a little bit harder to reach those. And so for you, it's worth you understanding what your sun sign is. But when we're talking about lunar cycles, they're actually just influences on the external reality or the reflective nature of being. And so my sun sign talks a lot more about my internal landscape, and the external reality is often reflected in the now moment through the lunar frequencies. And so going back to what we said, the Piscean energy is all about, is a very emotional sign. It's a very also expressive sign. And so when the lunar cycle is in a Piscean age or a Piscean experience, there's a lot of expression of emotion that you will feel an inclination to. And if you have a sun sign that allows you to do that freely, you'll probably settle into that pretty well. And if you don't, then you probably will resist it. And that's just a part and parcel of this whole thing. And so with the Virgo energy that we've just come from, we were talking a lot about how we administer our lives, because Virgo, those who have a sun sign in Virgo, they tend to be really great at administration. They're really good at being organized and orderly and putting things in right places and labeling things with boxes. So the last month we've been spending a lot of time with this whole energy of expression, emotional expression, and the containers that we are able to express ourselves emotionally in. And this by natural extension talks about our ability to relate to others. And the secret that, of course, we often forget because nobody talks about this stuff openly is that we are here to relate. You know, in spiritual practice, it's really important to know where you land, where you are, and how you feel, because that's the only aspect of this whole reality that you have some cognitive control over, some conscious influence over directly. So you have the direct influence on you, but we also have the ability to be impacted by others, and also for you to be able to impact others. And so this is what usually happens through the act of relating. So relationships are very much to the fore. They've been to the fore for the last month, and they will continue heading forwards, because we also have, we have yet again another new moon in Pisces, but we also have a full moon this time in Libra. And the Libran energy is slightly different. Spirit is going to talk to me about that. They're saying, because as I actually hold this card, I will show you this card, putting it in front of me now. Hopefully you can see that. So this card is about balance. So it's the Chariot in the Tarot, number 7 of the Major Arcana. So Major Arcana, Spirit is reminding me, Major Arcana talks about major life influences. The Minor Arcana talks about day-to-day stuff generally. So when it's a Major Arcana, it's a big deal. So this big deal, again, I'm being drawn to the Libran energy. Libra very much is relating to the Chariot energy, which basically is, it's about balancing light and shadow. It's about sorting out where justice lies. And so this card in specifically, if I'm actually drawn to the card specifically, again, we've got all this water. So again, I just want to emphasize that this month, there's going to be a lot of water energy. There's going to be a lot of emotional flow, and Spirit's bringing me back to what it is that I was saying before about how the last month has been very much about the containers of how we express our emotions and who we do that with. What that translates in is that in relationships, we've just come from a place where we've been offered opportunities to be able to rewire our nervous systems to support us better in relationships. And sometimes that means that you might have had a fallout with someone that you love and realized that that person that you love actually wasn't able to offer you the support that you were expecting on them. Expectations are a really great form of where our containers lie, because quite often if I think I'm in this love relationship or this friendship with this particular beloved, then alongside of that often comes expectations, and those expectations, often we don't know what expectations we have on people until, you know, they butt up with someone not meeting them. This is a whole conversation of boundaries we could have right now, but I don't feel like that's what we want to do with this particular video. But ultimately, it's up to you to know where your boundaries lie and to know what your expectations are. And so if you've spent the last even 6 months having this experience where you have expectations on your loved ones and they haven't been meeting them, I would suggest, and this may have been true for you, that the last month has probably brought this to the fore more, and you've probably noticed that they're not there holding you in the way that you wanted them to. For me personally, I've noticed, because I've been at this for a long time, I've been on to this for a long time, is these practices that help me to understand myself. I've had a better month this month. It's been terrible, actually, but I've noticed that I have support where I didn't think I had support, because a long time ago, I lost all expectations that anybody was going to show up for me. And that in itself is quite an interesting experience, to get to that point where you've lost all expectations on all of your relationships, and then suddenly they seem to turn around and say, hey Dana, we remember and we miss you, and we know we haven't been there for you and we want to now. And I know that that is something that we are always wanting on our friends and our family, and it often doesn't happen until you start to show up for you. And so a part of the natural shedding process, or the initiations of life, particularly with regards to the sacred feminine rising, we often do have these shedding processes where we feel like nobody's there and we feel like nobody's wanting us, and we have to go within in order to investigate what we want to be about and how that's showing up for you. For me, it's been a very long process. It's been decades of self-discovery. For you, it may not take that long, but if you haven't got a regular practice of self-inquiry, then those types of things, the rebound back of the energy that is actually showing you that you do have support, is not available to you. So I feel like we're going to our next cards, and as I pull my next cards, we get to, I don't always read cards upside down, but for some reason I'm doing them now, and that's just interesting to me at all. Totally. So interestingly enough, with these cards, I'll just show you these cards. The first one is the Two of Swords, which is this one. And the second one is the Two of Cups. And you'll notice if you look at them, I know I've got one upside down, but if you look at them, you'll see that both of them have two. One of the cards actually has a couple in it, and a caduceus and a variety of other symbology in there. But let's first talk about, as we break this down, Spirit is saying this is about now. This is about you and what we just talked about now, about being real with yourself. On the left-hand side, and the left-hand side is talking about the feminine energy. So when you get a little bit more across your own understanding of what masculine and feminine is, you may understand these types of videos better. But for now, we're just saying that this is representing the feminine you, which basically is your ability to be able to be present with yourself and to accept what is. And so if we look at this card, I'm drawn to the fact that she has two swords. In fact, I'll separate them so you can see this one a bit more clearer. It's better. So you see she has two swords, and with the swords I also see the moon in the background, which moons always talk about reflective energy, which we talked about that already. And with the two swords you can see that she's holding one to the left and one to the right, and so this feels like an oscillation between the feminine and the masculine energy. So if we just backtrack a little bit, what I said before is this is about your ability to accept what's going on now. And I feel this oscillation between, indecision. Do I trust my emotional self, or do I trust my rational mind? Do I trust the feelings that I have, or do I trust that which I've been told is right and wrong? Which one do I trust? And I feel this sense of bouncing back. And I feel like this is a commentary again on what's going on with you now at the moment. There is a lot of indecision with all of you around what it is that you want, and you can't decide which part of you to listen to. The secret, of course, is, and this is where I'm getting drawn to the second card, it's an upside down card, so let's just break that down. The upside down card in itself basically just means that the card's meaning has a reverse energy. Up until recently, I haven't read them upside down because I haven't needed to, but I feel like this is just an important part if any of you are learning how to read. It can offer a nice masculine construct to be able to help you to work through the flow energy of the feminine intuition better. So anyway, card upside down. Also to Cups talks about the emotional self, and this is just diving deeper into the switch between the rational mind and the emotional self. And the thing I want you to understand about the emotional self is that the emotional self kind of works in shadow, and the rational mind kind of likes to think it works in light. All right. And so with the rational mind, I get this sense, and I just want to affirm, because this was the right side card, which also talks about the rational self. I want you to understand that many of you misunderstand what your emotional self is saying, and the emotions that you feel are actually linked to a mental process. And the mental process is not true emotion. The mental process is just a story that you tell yourself about what happens, and from there we can reverse engineer emotional feelings. And it is actually a way of sabotaging you and your energies. So I want to say that moving forwards, because I feel like Spirit is saying moving forwards, also they just want me to address with the fact that there's two people on here. Again, I said the cards, it's about Cups, which is usually about emotion, our emotions. But I also want to just emphasize that right now there's a lot of energy on the planet around relationships, particularly between man and woman. There's a lot of energy about it. And if you're in a same-sex relationship, this would be where one of you is embodying a feminine aspect and one of you is embodying a masculine aspect. And I understand with same-sex couples it can actually switch, so sometimes you might be the more masculine orientating and sometimes you might be the more feminine. And this is all well and good, this is fine. It just makes it more complex in the relational sense. And to be honest, the secret is that even in opposite sex couples, there's still sometimes a switching between masculine and feminine energy that happens innately anyway, is the truth. I just got distracted, it's fine. Spirit's laughing at me. I'm going to dive into that for myself later. But what they're saying is that at the moment, your emotional self, it's really important to declare what your actual emotions are without trying to make sense of them mentally. Most of you are getting stuck here. So moving forwards, particularly because the new moon is about finding, well, actually a better word is probably the new moon. This new moon cycle is about attraction. It's about attracting to you that which you love so that it's more within your sphere of influence, more within your scope, more within the space that allows you to engage with it rather than just fantasize about it. I'm definitely I was going to say ex-fantasizer, but I must admit I still love fantasizing. It's one of my favorite things to do, actually, but sometimes fantasizing in a psychic can be very dangerous, and for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about your psychic skills and how that works, well, that's something that's going to unravel under my banner over a period of time, because we definitely need more conversations around the inappropriation of psychic energy, particularly with women. I love women, I really do, but we hurt ourselves so badly, so often. It is actually an interesting thing when you start to truly see how much damage you have done to your own sense of wellness because of the way that you think, not because of the way that you are. The way that you think can be changed, but it should be done when you are ready in your way and with true connection with you. So, lesson for another day. Where we're headed, last card for this particular session, because I am trying to keep these, I can talk forever about this stuff. This card is a beautiful card. This is just talking about where we're headed with all of this, okay? So remember, we just talked a little bit about the command of the emotional self. The command of that which is you on a true, in a true sense. You are not your emotions, but your emotions tell you about yourself. as long as I can feel my emotions without the muddiness of the storytelling of the mental mind trying to keep me safe, then genuinely I have heart connection with myself. I'm available for life. Listen to me. When you are connected to yourself on an emotional level, you are available for life. I can't emphasize that enough. Did I say that loud enough? I feel spirit pushing energy through me as I do. So this card is about the future. The future is bright. You can see beautiful Queen of Wands there. I want to firstly draw the sunflower. For so many of you, look, a lot of us have a connection to sunflowers because sunflowers are just happy. The cool thing I learned about sunflowers is that they actually turn their head towards where the sun is. And that is you. That is you. There's a part of you that just wants to turn your head towards the sun because the sun is warm and the sun is comforting and the sun is soothing. And we don't have life on this planet without the sun. It's actually an innate gift that we have, that we are creatures of sunshine. So we like to be seen. We like to be in the light. We don't like our shadow. We don't like to be there. But the truth is that without shadow, you don't have the diverse mix or range of emotional expression that allows you to be fully seen in life. So, there's a part of you that isn't connected to your own shadow, and that is a problem. If you have a look here, I get drawn, of course, to that which is her shadow. I don't know if that's her shadow, but it looks like a shadow for me from this perspective. I get a feeling Spirit is drawing a parallel between the sunflower and the shadow. If you want to spend all of your life just being happy, happy Lala, you can do that, but you're going to hide from your shadow. And your shadow is actually your best friend. Your shadow is often the way that you navigate your role in the world safely. If you're not investigating your shadow, chances are you're suffering from anxiety anytime something comes into your space that doesn't represent happiness. And that is a problem. That is one of the sacred feminine pitfalls that we have when we sit inside the emotional self, when we start to address our situation and we realize that there's something there that we don't like. For me, my big thing is that I've had trouble expressing anger. And anger is something that we are, particularly women, it's not always true, some men too, definitely men too, have been shamed for expressing anger in the past. And anger in itself is actually a natural mechanism inside of you that says that this is not okay by me. And so we all need that. We all need that in order for us to be able to feel safe. There is a healthy way of wielding anger, and there's an unhealthy way of possessing anger. And so heading forwards, you'll find that there's a lot of anger in the field at the moment, collective field. There's a lot of repressed anger that's being released because a lot of us are finally starting to realize that if I'm going to have a life here, I need to address my elephant in the room, which is how I actually feel rather than how I think I feel. And so being drawn to this, I get reminded that moving forwards, you see the stick in her hand, or the wand, we call them wands. The wand deck is about what can I do? It's a doing energy. It's what can I do about this? And ironically, the doing energy is considered a masculine energy, but here we have the queen of doing. And so I want to express to you that there are a lot of ways that we can wield power that is basically that which you have some control over. I say some control over because control in itself is the illusion. But we do have a lot within our sphere of influence that we can have influence over. And if you can do something about your life, it is available to you in your sphere of influence. So you can't influence someone who's not within your scope of influence. You can't. There's no way you can do that. And Spirit is reminding me that we always use this term tentatively about you being able to influence people outside of you anyway. The true power that lies within you is actually your ability to do things for yourself, but also, of course, for others. But doing something for others in itself comes with a couple of tethers. And what that means is, and we're not talking about if I do something for someone, I have an expectation they do it back. What I'm talking about is if I'm going to do something for others, I have to take full ownership of what is inspiring that. Why am I helping others? If I'm helping others because I feel insecure and I feel unsafe, and I'm doing it to make myself feel safe because I want to marshal support, then this is a false economy. because true power doesn't lie in you giving your power away. Pure power lies in your ability to see what it is that you have that you can apply in any given moment. And so when you start to address the elephant in the room, i.e. the feelings that you have that you're not saying, that you're not sharing, that you're not even telling yourself about, that you're disconnected from, that you're embarrassed to feel, then this is where you're going to find the next month tricky, because you have an opportunity here this month to be truthful and honest with how you feel about life in general. And there are ways of owning what it is that you feel that are inoffensive to others, and you have to learn how it is you can do that. And we actually have an innate ability to do that, but first you have to turn inwards and acknowledge your true feelings. In isolation to others, you have to go, okay, I just witnessed this. I noticed this rise in my body. I'm going to peer within to ask myself, little Dana, little you, how are you feeling about that? What does it rise within you? What memories do you have around that type of a feeling? Is there something that you can go back to in your past that might represent change for you, that change that made you insecure, made you feel out of balance? Because if you can go back there and look there, you'll find a lot of the answers as to what's going on in this now moment may be able to be resolved by looking backwards. And with that, I do also want to just say, as we wrap up, we do and still are hosting once a month a collective past life regression session. Collective because we are here as a collective frequency to assist the community rise. And in order to do that, each person who feels like they are having a hard time firstly needs to say to themselves, hey, I'm having a hard time. I can't do this on my own. Can someone please give me a hand? With that, it's about navigating who is in possession of the resources to be able to give you a hand. Because a lot of people in your life, you may have an expectation that they help you out, but they personally may not be resourced to be able to provide that to you because of their own situation. And so we want to own our own situation. And if I can't find a remedy around the people that I have in my immediate sphere of influence, then I start to reach out into the broader community, and I find people who are publicly making themselves available to support others through these particular things. And so at the moment, that is one space I'm keeping open while I sort out what it is that I'm doing with my own business. Because that's just what happens with a spirit channel. Join us, please, if that's something that interests you. There is no excuse to be silent about your situation or to sit on your troubles. There is no excuse for it anymore. There are a lot of people out there who can help you, support you to unravel your own feelings, senses of wellness, and make you available for the change that's coming for us all. And trust me, on a planetary level, there is a big change coming, and you want to be prepared for it, because it's going to be an amazing gift if you are prepared for it. And I can't wait to see what it looks like for you on the other side. But for now, I'm going to send you kisses. I hope this has been helpful to some of you. Reach out if you want a session. Of course, I'm offering healing sessions, coaching programs, which is about helping you work through your stuff and awakening your own intuitive aspects. Or, of course, just one-on-one guidance sessions, which I love to do, and I'm quite good at them. So reach out if that feels true for you, feels right for you. And otherwise, I wish you a beautiful rest of the month. Just remember, I love you. Spirit loves you. Please love you. Kisses. Till next time, my friends. Be well. See ya.